Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of Explicitly Dyed Art by Science, and today we are going to talk a little bit about how to pick a very good fleece. Now, I know I've mentioned this in various other videos in the past, but I've never made a video just specifically talking about how to pick out a good fleece. When you first get into spinning and you've seen your first fiber show, you get very giddy, you probably buy your first fleece. You take it home and then you realize that it wasn't a very good fleece. Or after you've gone through the painstaking process of picked it, washed it, picked all the locks open, you run it through a drum carder and you start spinning, and then the yarn is just horrible. This describes both experiences I've had buying fleeces. It's not very easy at first unless you know what to look for. First, you want to look for a fleece that is from a reputable company. And usually when you go to fiber shows, they'll have on their website of the show a list of vendors. And what you can do from there is you can do some homework. Find the fleeces that you're interested in. Let's say you're looking for a Shetland fleece. You can find all of the breeders that sell Shetland fleeces and investigate them on the internet to see what other people say. Do they love it? Do they hate it? Places like Ravelry might be a really good place to go to see what users may have said about it, or maybe even blogs. When you go there, you'll be a little bit more informed. Now, let's say you go there and you didn't do this research. Maybe it was happening this weekend, you happen to be in the area, someone told you about it, and you're like, yeah, let's go. So you're there. Now what? If possible, I suggest asking for a small sample of a particular fleece that you're interested in. And while you're there, I want you to do a couple of things. First, I want you to smell it. It should smell like lanolin. It shouldn't smell like poop. It shouldn't smell like mold or mildew. It shouldn't smell like anything other than sheep. Maybe a little bit of dirt, but sheep mostly. If it doesn't smell like a sheep with lanolin, then you probably don't want to buy the whole fleece. It makes you wonder what is in the fleece that's causing it to smell like this. It could just be, they stored it in a horrible way. And if you're going to spend all this money and all this time and effort on it, you want to get a fleece that's going to be usable and something that isn't going to smell up your entire house. So if it smells, walk away. Second thing you want to look for is the amount of dirt and debris. And this is like, sheep, they go rolling around outside, they get caught, like stuff gets caught into their fleece and stuff like that. So check to see what is on the lock. If the lock is covered, this might just be a random occurrence, but it could also indicate what the rest of the fleece holds. Then if it's clean, I would say it's probably been a coated fleece. If it's kind of dirty, you see some, like maybe a little bit of mud caked onto the tips, or if you see like bits of vegetable matter kind of in the actual lock, then maybe they weren't coated. It doesn't really matter too much. You just need to know in advance what you're going to get into. So you look at the lock, you smell the lock. Those are probably the first two biggest indicators. Another thing that you can do, and I would ask the person before you do this, is I would try to rip part of it apart. Now what you're looking for is how strong is this lock. If it just kind of pulls apart, it's probably very brittle. You don't want a brittle fleece because any yarn that you make from it is going to be brittle and coarse, and really in the end there's not going to be a lot of the fleece that's probably usable. So ask and do a break test. Now we've looked at it, we've smelled it, we've ripped it apart. In the process of ripping apart, what I also want you to look for is white flakes. Now, this is more pertinent for mohair fleeces, from Angora goats, than for typical sheep fleeces. And the reason why I say this is because it's usually a problem with Angora goats than it is with sheep, generally speaking, but dandruff is another problem. The dandruff is a result of a lack of a certain mineral in the animal's diet, and because of that, their skin kind of flakes off into the fleece. It's not really easy to wash out, and it can cause lice to be attracted to it. Now, lice will destroy the tensile strength of the fiber as well. So once you see them present, there's dandruff, there's probably lice, you're probably not going to get a good fleece in the end. So what you'll want to do is say thank you for letting me test and then move on. Now, there are a lot of other people out there who say things similar to what I'm saying, and then there are other people out there who disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I just want you to have sort of a broader picture of what you want to look for when you go into purchasing a fleece. So these are basically preliminary ways of looking at a fleece without looking at the entire fleece. Now, let's talk about a fleece that has passed all of the requirements. It smells like sheep and lanolin. It's not overly dirty. It has good tensile strength, and there's no visible dander. Okay? It's passed these 4 tests. Now you want to ask if you can see the whole fleece. Some shepherds and shepherdesses will not let you take it out of the box and put it on the dirty floor to see what it looks like. However, some people will. And I can show you on the floor here what you're kind of looking for. Keep in mind though, this fleece is already washed, so yours may not look like this per se, but this is the best I can do to give you a visual aid. Okay. Alright. So you can see here on the ground I have laid out this fleece. This is a award-winning merino fleece that I've kind of laid out to have the shape of the sheep, where like the head is probably over here and the tail is over here, and you'll see these little parts sticking out. This is the top. This is to represent the top part of the fleece of like where the arm is in the front and in the back. And what you're looking for here is, does the lock that you saw earlier is it representative of the entire fleece? Now this, you don't really have to get in there because that's the purpose of testing the lock. You did all that part first. What you're looking for is, does the entire fleece smell? Maybe they picked out a really good lock. It's possible. I'm not saying that, you know, shepherds and shepherdesses are trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm just saying that, you know, it could have just been a random chance. They pulled out a really great lock. Okay? So you want to make sure that it smells like the lock did. You want to make sure that it looks like the lock did. And you want to make sure that the shepherd or shepherdess did not leave all of the second cuts and the tags on the fleece. The tags are basically dingleberries that hang onto the fleece when the animal goes to the bathroom. If those are present, then they probably haven't skirted the fleece very well. If there are second cuts in there, or there are pieces that you can tell this was probably from the part of the leg that was closer to the ground, that needs to be cut off and basically used for something else like fiber fill or whatever. But for a hand spinner's fleece, you do not generally use that type of wool. Maybe if you want to use it for filling like stuffed animals or something like that, maybe. But generally this wool is just gross and it has a smell, and yeah, we just don't want to touch it. Plus, that also factors into the overall weight of the fleece. So do you really want to spend $100 on a fleece that has a lot of those gross things in there? Probably not. So if they will let you see the whole fleece, then, you know, look for these types of things. And in the end, if you're satisfied with the way that it looks, feels, smells, and you know, how strong it is, then it's probably the fleece for you. You know, then you can go on to other considerations like, is it soft? Is it already really clean? What's the price? You know, sometimes people get really caught up in the histories of each particular animal. Like maybe this particular Shetland sheep was a descendant of, you know, some other prime fleece. I don't know. You can make those considerations on your own, but basically you just want to go in there armed with a little bit of foreknowledge. Basically, who is this particular farm? Like, who are they? And what are some things I need to look at for the fleece? So hopefully this has given you sort of an idea of how to pick a fleece when you're at a vendor. Now, what if you're going to buy a fleece online? I have also been there. I have also been lucky and unlucky. But in doing so, I have learned from my mistake. Any good farm that sells sheep's fleeces for hand spinners will do this. All you need to do is send a request for a lock. Usually this is, you know, pretty common to have a lock sent to a spinner as part of a sample. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's like a self-addressed envelope type thing, and this can help give you the across the distance experience of what you would have meeting a vendor face to face. This is also a great opportunity to be able to walk away from a large purchase if it turns out that the lock isn't what you hoped it would be, and that's okay. And sometimes, you know, to capitalize on multiple fleeces, you know, you can say, I would like a sample from these 6 fleeces. And then you can choose a little bit which one you want. And by doing this, you don't spend a lot of money on a fleece that ultimately feels like a waste of money. No one wants that, and hopefully that will help you to better choose which fleece you're going to get, because I completely understand sometimes you're in the wrong spot. You're in the middle of nowhere and the next farm is, or like the next fiber show is the next state over. I get where you're coming from. I'm living in South Korea and getting fresh wool is really an impossibility, so I'm with you there. Anyway, so don't be afraid of contacting a farm, even if they don't really have much of a presence on the internet. Maybe they have a bigger presence locally and they sell really good fleeces. So it's worth inquiring about and getting a sample and making sure that you have peace of mind when you go into one of these larger purchases. So hopefully this video, like I said, will give you really well-rounded ideas of what to look for in a fleece, both in person and online. So if you have any other questions about fleeces, if something I mentioned you either don't agree with or you want to talk about, do email me, because like I said, I don't actually raise sheep or anything. This actually comes from direct experience, plus a little bit of the things that I've read on the internet after those bad experiences to sort of figure out how to go into picking a fleece beforehand. So I'm not a professional fleece picker. So if you need more information about that, you can contact me and I can help you look in other places, or I can suggest some of the books that I've read or blogs that I've read in the past that have helped me. And you know, that's that, I guess. So give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them below. If you're curious about some of the things that I sell, you can check out Etsy. And I also run deals on Facebook and Twitter, so also check me out there. I have a new blog that I am starting up, and I will post that below as well. And I will post various things, including tutorials and tips like this, And I will also talk a little bit about the large-scale ongoing projects that I am currently steeped in. Thanks for watching. Bye!